We open on a prison cell where a young man climbs out of his cot. It's day 1 in prison, and he doesn't know why he's here. Is anyone... I don't know where this is. I don't know where I am. The young man, blonde, blue-eyed, an overwhelming sense of do-goodness and patriotism surrounding him, calls out to the quiet cell block. Hello, my name is Steve. A voice emerges from another one of the dark cells. Steve? Oh golly, that's funny. I'm Steve too. This Steve reveals himself, resemblant of the first Steve, but a bit huskier and way more nervous. Do you have any idea how we got here? The last thing I remember, I was home in my room at the nervous hospital. I'd really like it if I could go back there, please. Suddenly, a set of doors on the walls clangs open like a flash. Another blonde prisoner, this one sporting a beard and a bandana, sprints toward the door. I don't know who he is, but I don't like him. Please don't let him hurt me. The rebel prisoner leaps into the darkness outside of the prison gate. Death to the warmongers! Skinny Steve peers through the doors, wondering if he and nervous Steve should join the man. We should stay in our cells. If we make too much noise, they might give us the hose. A dog barks and things take a turn for the weirder. The Steves turn to see a dog wearing an orange jumpsuit, given his own cell and everything. Is that a dog? I've only seen them in pictures. Daddy let me never have a dog. Skinny Steve completely ignores the depressing comment and goes to check the collar of their new canine friend. Steve, you're not gonna believe this. The dog's name is Steve. What's going on? They hear a nasty scream come from outside the prison. Nervous Steve continues to hide in his cell as the floor begins to move. Look out, Steve. There's a conveyor belt in the floor. Indeed, the treadmill at the door drags the body of the rebel who'd stormed outside to Skinny Steve's feet. Is he? He's not dead, just stupid. It's a new voice, a silhouette in another cell, a massively muscular silhouette. The door slams shut as Skinny Steve demands answers from the muscular figure. Hi, who are you? Don't tell me. Ask him what we saw. Steve groans as he awakens. Obstacles, climbed over a few. Lights were flashing. Then somebody hit me. Never saw him coming. Felt like they were driving a Mack truck. Nervous Steve continues to hide, reminding everyone that they shouldn't leave these cells. There's nothing but danger out there. Skinny Steve isn't having it. Will someone please tell us why we're here? Stupid bunch of Steves. I don't know about y'all, but this is exactly what I deserve. Muscular Steve still refuses to budge, offering little solace to his new prison inmate. This here is hell. It's day 2 at Skinny Steve's new home of the prison of Steves. Like every other day, the door clangs open. Like every other day, Rebel Steve storms outside the gate. Death to the military-industrial complex! Skinny Steve and Puppy Steve watch, while Nervous Steve continues to hide. But just like every other day, Rebel Steve comes rolling back into the cell block. You're all cowards. No, pal. Some of us are something much worse. It's day 3. Different day, same story. My name is Steve Rogers, and I am a political prisoner because I refuse to take part in your illegal war. You fascists will not break me. As Rebel Steve continues to yell at somebody, Skinny Steve pops by the Nervous Steve's cell, where he still stands hiding behind a wall. This is so weird. We're all named Steve Rogers. The dog too. He told me. Apparently, Puppy Steve thinks that none of these Steves are in the correct universe. How they got here? No one knows. What's the last thing you remember before waking up here? For Nervous Steve, just a regular run-of-the-mill day. Crying under the covers and wishing I was dead. But suddenly, someone appeared in Nervous Steve's room. I couldn't see him, but I knew they were there. And then I was here. Skinny Steve was working his job, drawing pages for the comic series Tales of Suspense, a real-life series eventually renamed Captain America. Skinny Steve heard a car pull outside of his door, which wouldn't be weird, except for one thing. I live on the 34th floor. As Skinny Steve tries to uncover this tale of suspense, Rebel Steve moans from his normal supine position as blood drizzles down his nose. Same thing hit me. Almost took my head off. Next time, I'll be ready. What's this magical object that keeps the prisoners in line? Day 4 comes. Nothing moves that fast. Nothing. Then, day 5. Bounced off the walls and still hit me. It was impossible. On day 6, Rebel Steve got a smidge closer to learning about this place, but was still left with nothing. I saw them. This time I saw them right before. There's just one man in there. One man. That's all that stands between us and, by day 7, Skinny Steve's interest is piqued. What did you see? This Rebel Steve, with a broken nose and a swollen eye, lashes out. Get off your butts if you want to know, you bunch of chickens. Get out there and see for yourselves. By day 11, Rebel Steve is a bruised and battered man. Puppy Steve yaps at him, and he psychs himself up for that daily clang. Steve says you shouldn't go. He says you're gonna die. Better die out there than in here with you gutless losers. Rebel Steve turns to the lonely cell where Muscular Steve continues to sit in darkness. You hear me in there, old man? I'm nothing like the rest of you Steves. Got that right. The daily clang clang echoes in the prison. Rebel Steve doesn't hesitate for a moment, sprinting toward the open door. Should we try to stop him? The dog yips, which Nervous Steve can apparently translate. You're right, Steve. We should just stay in our... But Skinny Steve doesn't listen to the dog's warnings. He sprints toward the door, joining Rebel Steve in a quest to find some answers. This is the Steve Rogers we know. Bold, brave, fearless. But just like every other day, Rebel Steve rolls back into the cell block. This time, however, he's got a buddy. What the hell was that? Told you. You couldn't even see it coming, could you? No, but I did see something. When his soreness subsides, Steve tears the tin off of a food packet and chisels at his cell wall. The next 2 days, Skinny Steve joins Rebel Steve when they hear that clang, and each time, Skinny Steve continues to carve a drawing on the wall. Puppy Steve watching on curiously. I don't know what he's drawing in there, Steve. I think we should just be good Steves and stay in our... Steve? The next morning, there's a third Steve bolting out the door at the sound of the clang. Puppy Steve has joined the fight to escape. By day 16, the trio integrates another couple of classic Steve Rogers traits: strategy and teamwork. Dog goes left, nerd goes right. I take the middle. This time, we'll flank the bastard. No way he can hit all three of us. But once again, the conveyor belt rolls them in a minute later. How did he hit all three of us? The trio of Steves realizes they need to recruit a few more bodies. By day 17, Puppy Steve pleads his case with Nervous Steve, resting his paw on Steve's cot. No, you're wrong. I'm not strong. I was never strong enough when Daddy would... Please, leave me alone. The next day, Rebel Steve talks to Muscular Steve. You know something, don't you? You know what's out there. That's what you're afraid of. I got no damn idea what's out there. What I'm afraid of. Muscular Steve taps the side of his head. He's what's in here. After another failure on day 19, the team goes about their usual routine. Rebel Steve works out, Puppy Steve angrily tears apart his cot, and Skinny Steve continues drawing on the wall. But they can't do this alone. You can do this. You're stronger than you think. We all know that. We all see it. I don't understand the how or the why, but I think the dog was right. We're all the same man deep down inside. So that means if we can be strong, then you can too. All Steve Rogers have had hard lives, but Nervous Steve might have had the hardest of all of them. But because of that, you could be the strongest Steve of all. On day 20, the Steves assemble, joined for the first time by Nervous Steve, inspired by his friend's speech. At the clang of the door, they rush into the unknown to fight for their freedom. But once again, they're sent rolling back on the conveyor belt. You're all a bunch of idiots, playing at being soldiers. For the first time, Muscular Steve steps out of his cell. Not a damn one of you knows what you're doing, but I'll give you this. You Steves got guts, more than most, and maybe guts is enough. Maybe we're more alike than I thought. Standing in the light, Muscular Steve is even more badass than we could have imagined. He sports a flag-painted face, an eye patch, bulging biceps, and claws. Adamantium claws. God help us all. Tell me everything you saw, and I'll tell you how we're gonna get the hell out of here. Finally, all 5 of them are together. They fight and they fail for 12 straight days. On day 33, the clang rings, sending them into action as a team. For the first time in this story, we see the outside. Barbed wire lines a concrete gate as lights blare down. They avoid the obstacles, spiked weapons, and flying metal balls. At this point, they know how to avoid them. But there's still one thing they haven't figured out how to overcome. This is it. Be ready. 5 figures stand in the distance, preparing their weapon that's defeated the Steves over the course of this long month. The figures throw familiar bucklers toward the Steves. It's time to reach out and grab it. The Steves reach toward the heavens as 5 red metallic discs mirror their outstretched hands. The mysterious, physics-defying weapon is revealed. Vibranium shields, 5 variants of Captain America's shield, and the Steves each caught one by hand, proving themselves to truly be Captain America at heart. Congratulations, Steves. You all just passed the first stage of your boot camp. The figures are revealed. 5 variants of Captain America from across the multiverse. A group gathered to take down a bigger threat. Ape Captain America, Mini Marvel's Captain America, Cap Wolf, U-Man Captain America, and US Agent. It only gets worse from here, because there's a war to fight and we need every Steve Rogers we can get. Elsewhere, yet another group of mysterious figures watches this all unfold from a screen. Not enough. I don't know. I mean, we got Weapon America to finally pop his claws again. That's not nothing. We'll need more. It's the Multiversal Avengers, Ghost Rider, Deathlock, and Earth 818 Tony Stark, aka Ant-Man. Then let's hit the road, Deathlock. Who else you got? There's another Steve on Earth 49978 who's never lifted his shield, but just got caught in a gamma bomb explosion. Oh, that's a Steve we definitely need to meet. Fire it up, Robbie. Finally, we see the scratching Skinny Steve was making in his cell. A note saying Steve Rogers was here. 33 ticks to count the days, and a shield. We got an army to build.